Hello, everybody. I'm Mike,
And I'm Maria.
and this is TalkAlley.
Hi. Happy
Hey,
Sunday,
yes,
everyone.
happy Sunday, everyone. It's been a long week. Yeah,
Yeah, it's been a long week and actually very tiring because, we always see every day. I don't even want to watch the news anymore because of what's been going on right now. It's just too stressful, right, Mike?
yes, yes,
COVID situation, a new variant has
yes. A
been,
new
oh
variant,
gosh.
Omicron variant.
And now they say that it's here in Germany.
Yes, it was first discovered or brought in from South Africa. So flights coming from South Africa are now lessened. So we hope that it's not it's supposed to be more contagious than the Delta variant, but we hope not so, yeah, deadly, I would
It's,
say.
I mean, COVID-19 is already deadly. I mean, what's the worst thing that could happen to all of us?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I wanted to say hello to my friend Jessica Gross.
Hello,
Hello,
Jessica.
Jessica. Hi, we miss you. Come back again.
Yes, thank you for visiting us.
Yes. And are you looking forward to our guest today?
Yes, I'm looking forward to our guest today. She's a award-winning guest. But
Ooh.
before we talk about her, let's.
Okay, yes. We talk about our guest today, this episode is brought to us by.
Yeah, by amazing pure organic barley, which provides you with stamina and vigor to survive long hours of work and play. For inquiries, please contact Miss Jess Esquilio. You may also contact her at jess@esquilio.de for more information.
I am Maritoni Fernandez, and we are in the middle of a barley field here in Swan Hill, Australia.
Well, we think we have the best barley in the world because of our clean irrigation water. Water comes from the Murray River, which is a freshwater river. All our drinking water comes from the Murray River too. So it's full of nutrients, and also the climate is perfect for growing winter cereals. Clean, green, certified organic.
Yeah, we're certified with NASA, which is one of the Australian certifications for organic. OAM Worldwide gets its barley grass powders from Herbal, which sources them from us at NutriGreen, so you're guaranteed the best barley grass powders in the world.
I am truly proud to say that we are now the sole distributor in the Philippines for NutriGreen barley.
Amazing pure organic barley. So, our guest for today is a professor of literature and creative writing at the University of the Philippines, Mindanao. She holds a PhD from RMIT University, Australia. Her first book, Woman Loving Stories and the Play, 2010, from De La Salle University and Anvil Publishing, is the first single author collection of lesbian themed works published in the Philippines. In 2015, her stories were published as an ebook entitled Women on Fire. Her memoir about starting her life over in Davao City, Abinako, or So I Thought, was published by the University of the Philippines Press in 2020. Among the anthologies she has edited is Tingle Anthology of Pinay Lesbian Writing, published this year by Anvil Publishing Inc. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to have her in our show today, Professor Joanna Lynn B. Cruz. Welcome to Talk Alley. Hello.
Hi,
Hi.
Maria
Hi,
and Mike.
welcome.
Welcome to Talk Alley. Thank
All
you
the
for
way from
gracing
the
us.
Philippines. Yes.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening
Yes.
there in the Philippines, Joanna. I know it's pretty late right now, and thank you for taking the time to be with
Yes,
us
thank you
today.
for your time.
Yeah. Not really
Yeah.
late, just in time for happy hour.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So I hope you brought your wine with you.
I
So
did, I
we
did.
have
Yeah.
coffee.
Yeah.
So
Cheers.
cheers, Prost. So Mike, actually, I saw Joanna during the Frankfurter Book Messe.
Yes, you did. Did I miss something?
No, remember the video being played over in the Philippine booth?
Yes, I remember that screen.
Yeah, she was one of the writers featured there, and she was
Okay.
speaking. And I was so surprised. I'm like, I know her. I was so proud. I was telling everybody in the book message, I know her. I've seen her before. I saw her. I read her. You know, during one of the Iloilo Pride teams event, I was there. I was invited by Irish, of course. My
Yes.
friend. Hello, Irish.
Hello, shout out to Irish.
Yeah. So immediately I took a picture and sent it to her. And like, Joanna, you're here in Germany.
All the way from the Philippines.
Yes, I was so proud. It was a proud moment for me. Yeah. So
First question.
you're currently in Davao.
Yes, yes. I'm based in Davao City.
Yeah, she is.
Okay, how is the COVID situation at the moment there?
I think we're managing. No, we're happy to stop using the face shields now. It's not required anymore. I think Davao
Okay.
lifted the face shield requirement before it was lifted in the national capital region. So I think the cases are going down.
Oh,
That is
that's a
good to
really
hear.
good to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
We should go back now.
Unless the numbers are going down because they're testing less. So because that might
So
be a factor as well. So it's not just numbers; it's also
Yes.
there's a
how
catch.
many are
Leverage.
being tested.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
maybe there's some data manipulation. Who knows?
Oh, there's always a manipulation somewhere out there.
Or just the data is not accurate here.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's been really tough here also in Germany. The case is also rising. We have an incidence of 443. It rose 2 points compared to yesterday, over 100,000. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, but holding up.
Is that like
Not
the
yet.
daily number or?
Yes, it's a daily number that is being monitored by the Robert Koch Institute.
It's 100,000.
It's 444 people over 100,000. That's the ratio.
Okay, that's a lot. I mean, isn't that alarming? Are you going to
Yes,
go
it
on
is
lockdown
actually very
soon?
alarming. That's why they're considering that now. Right now we're in 3G, right?
We are in 3G, but they want to
3G.
implement 2G over the whole nation.
Yes. But in Darmstadt, it's 2G.
2G, yes.
Yeah. So 2G is
2G is
What?
if it's vaccinated or you are recovered.
yeah.
Testing is not a
It's-
option.
Yes, testing is not compulsory. So yeah, it's been quite exhausting. But let's get down to business,
Yep.
Mike. Did you know, Mike, that some of the world's famous female writers used to have male pen names? There's Emily Bronte, who wrote the famous Wuthering Heights. She went by Alice Bell.
Yeah, that's right, Maria. And one of your favorite writer, Louisa May Alcott, who wrote Little Woman, used A.M. Bernard as her pen name.
Yes, she did, surprisingly. And of course, I just recently found out that one of the most successful writer of our generation, J.K. Rowling, well, commercial writer because of her Harry Potter book series, felt that young male demographic of Harry Potter would be disjointed if the author was presented under an obvious female name. So she used the initials J.K. Rowling specifically for that purpose. So apart from that, J.K. Rowling also published A Cuckoo's Calling in 2013 under the male pseudonym of Robert Galbraith.
Okay.
Joanna, I felt frustrated knowing about it, especially with J.K. Rowling. I felt that I went back into in the 21st century. Why and what do you think that there's still a need of using, male pen names?
Yeah,
for
I mean
writers.
that's surprising for our time. I mean, in this day and
Exactly.
Mm.
age, I mean, surprising to hear that she specifically used initials to hide
Yes.
her gender identity.
Mm.
So that's really surprising because one would think that women have greater access to
Mm.
publishing venues today. But it seems that the idea was that it was not the publishers but the reading public that
Mm.
would
Yes.
discriminate against a female author given that particular genre,
Mm-hmm.
so which is male dominated.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps the prejudice lies in also that certain types of literary works are associated with men and others are more associated with female
Yeah.
writers. So like
Yeah.
which is what is called domestic fiction.
Mm-hmm.
So like the ones written by the Brontes,
Yeah.
during the Victorian era. But it is the 21st century. So why do we
Need
feel that
to.
we have to limit ourselves to that kind of fiction or writing. So
Okay.
That's
try.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, this would also lead me to the next question. Does prejudice for female writers also exist in the Philippines?
Do you
Yeah,
feel that still exists?
well, I don't know about using the male pseudonyms if that's still a thing.
Yeah.
It seems like a throwback to the Victorian era. Uh, I think that there was a time when there was a surge of publication of women's writing in the 90s. I remember I was in college, and it was amazing when the feminist writers led this surge, of publication of women's writing, all the anthologies of women's writing, both in English and in Philippine, no? in Filipino languages.
Mm-hmm.
There were really like a number of them, no? So in the 90s, and then there was it seems to me that that surge died down naturally, because of maybe the industry felt that that they had given enough opportunities maybe to the
Mm-hmm.
women, and I'm not sure because I'm not privy to the publishing industry, so
Yeah.
I feel uncomfortable, saying
Yeah.
these things, but it's just my impression. So maybe just my
Yes.
impression that maybe after that surge, of feminist publications,
Mm-hmm.
it seemed to me to die down, and there was more interest now in maybe not so much publishing only women, but
Mm-hmm.
publishing anthologies that had ideally an equal number of male and female authors. So in terms
Yeah.
of numbers, I think there was also some effort after that surge to publish equal numbers of males and females in the anthologies. On the other hand, I think less so much the publishing industry, but in terms of myself as a woman writer,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think the prejudice has to do with women not being able to write as much as men,
Mm-hmm.
given the Filipino lifestyle and culture.
Yes.
So I think
Yeah.
that would be a more significant factor for us today in this day and age. So maybe a specific example would be during the pandemic. Last year during the lockdown, a lot of male writers used the lockdown to write books, no? Not just one book, two books. Some male writers wrote two books, and so the women were of course shocked
Yeah.
by the fact that
With the rosy number.
where did,
Yeah.
where did they get the time? Because
Yeah.
during the lockdown, all the children were home. I mean, if you had a family, all the children were home. They were, online classes. We were
Yes.
working from home. So we're not housewives. We were also working. Everyone was, working from home, plus doing domestic chores, plus, trying to, manage the online studies of their own children. And
Yes.
Yes.
and so women writers are, I mean, where
Yes.
would
I
you
think,
find the time to write?
yeah. Women in general, especially those who were working, were much more burdened by the lockdown.
Mm,
when you're
yeah.
at home. You're not just, if there's another word for multitasking,
Yeah.
extreme multitasking for women, especially
Hmm.
for women who are, for working women. Or single women or single moms. There's still so much demand and workload being put into them as compared to men. No, the task is not only focused on the job, but the housework,
Mm.
the
Yeah.
children, everything. You're handling so many things at the same time. Now, Joanna, writers from the LGBTQA community have also flourished in the
Yeah.
recent years, in the
Yeah.
past years. Do you think diversity in literature matter? Why?
The diversity for sure. Yeah, certainly,
Yes.
certainly, and not just in terms of sexuality, also in terms of ethnicity, regional representation. I think today you can't speak of uh, literature outside of diversity matters.
Yes.
Because all of us need to be represented, and especially those who have been traditionally marginalized. Yeah.
Speaking of which, it's always an issue. Like, I read one time, a friend posted, like, this person wrote about the, what do you call it? This particular group, indigenous group.
Mm-hmm.
And others were protesting that someone from that indigenous group should be the one writing it. What do you think of that
Yeah.
perspective? Should it be limited to that particular group, or someone else, a third person, outside, from outside looking in,
Mhm.
can write about it? What do you think of those perception from other people?
Oh, well, I'm a hardliner there.
Yeah,
I think
really.
that because today, the indigenous persons have their own voices, and
Mhm.
they can tell their own stories. So I
Mhm.
don't think they need, people
Someone else
from,
to
let's
tell
say,
it for
Manila,
them. Yeah.
from Manila to,
Mhm.
to speak for them because they have their own voices. So I really admire, for instance, the work of Gantala Press,
Mhm.
uh, which is an independent feminist publishing house. Uh, what they do is they empower the groups, marginalized groups, by giving them writers' workshops so that they
Mhm.
can tell their own stories. And after the workshops, of course, they ask like experienced writers to hold the workshops, and then they help the participants revise, and then they publish the works.
Mhm.
So yeah, you should look at the pages, no, of Gantala Press.
Gantala.
So I admire this kind of advocacy that
Yes.
they take it seriously. Giving voices to indigenous persons,
Mhm.
to farmers, fisher folk, women in prison. So these
Mhm.
are
Oh.
these are the voices that we are hearing from the publications of Gantala Press, which of course
Mhm.
the mainstream publishers do not do. I think they were also in the Frankfurt Book Fair.
Book. Yeah.
Were they? Did you notice?
Um. I don't know if I'm privy to say this, but I think there were books that were delayed during that time. They were still, when we went there. It wasn't there yet, so they were
Okay.
arriving. So we weren't able to see some of the books.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
So
really admirable effort because I think it's really empowering the marginalized groups to tell their own stories.
yes, definitely. And
Yep.
Mike.
Yes. Could you tell us about your first book, Women Loving Stories and Play? It is
Mhm.
the first sole author anthology of lesbian themed stories in the Philippines, which was published by Anvil Publishing Inc. and was launched in Davao City. Could you tell us briefly about Women Loving Stories and Play, and why is this book important to our
Mhm.
society?
Yeah. Well, Women Loving came out so long ago. It's 2010,
Yes.
but and it's currently out of print. But it's available as an ebook called Women on
Mhm.
Fire. But only the stories. The play is not included in the ebook because there's a lot of Ilocano dialogues in the play. So the publisher felt that it wasn't going to be accessible to an international reading audience. I think this, I still am proud of it for, being the first sole author, a collection of short stories written by a lesbian, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, not all the stories are about lesbian experiences. Most of them are. That's why initially I described it as lesbian themed stories. But right now, my politics is that if a lesbian writes it, then it is a lesbian writing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's not specifically about lesbian experience.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so this it was the first one, and well, my unfortunately it seemed at that time, that there was very little interest in my book.
Mm-hmm.
Even from the public, it didn't sell as well as we had hoped it would, because it was the first book of lesbian stories. So I feel that today it's really a different environment, no? Because of
Hmm.
the
I was about to ask that, like
LGBT
11
rights.
years ago, how was the LGBT community then in terms of writing? Were there a
Um,
lot of LGBTQA members writing back then?
the gay writers were publishing their anthologies and
Yeah,
individual collections. So
11 years ago.
Ledlad
Yeah.
came out in 1994,
Oh, yeah.
and
Right,
edited
Ladlin.
by J. Neil Garcia and Danton Remoto. And
Mm.
they had 3 volumes, and recently came out with the best of Ledlad. So there are 4
Mm.
uh, volumes, no, of the male gay writing anthologies in the Philippines. So
Mm.
they're like way ahead of us. But the lesbian anthology, which I edited, came out only this year.
Oh,
So can you
Okay.
imagine, all decades,
yeah. 11
nearly 2
years.
yeah,
Yes. And
94. I mean, the first Ladlad was 94.
but you
So
think it has changed like 11 years ago to now? How are the LGBTQA writers? There are so many like story series now. So
mm,
it has drastically changed, right?
yeah, yeah. And we owe it to really the gay rights movement,
Mm.
because the pride movement. So now today our queer community
Mm.
have greater support for the cause,
Yes.
for coming out, and we have. Actually, in the Philippines, there are several dates. So
Yeah.
usually June is Pride Month, but you notice that if you follow the pages, the
Mm.
LGBT pages, there's one in October, there's one. Iloilo has a different Pride Month. UP has
Yeah.
its own Pride Month, and so it's not just. So we're ahead because it's not just June that we have Pride Month, and I
You
think
know,
that's really
yeah.
greatly helped us, the writers.
In connection to that, yeah, we should celebrate it every month according to the
Mhm.
color of the flags of our flag.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
We have
So
so many colors anyway. So why don't we make it from January to December? Make it all Pride Month. So
that's true. We do have the specific visibility weeks, right? So like
exactly.
recently, last week, we had the Trans Awareness
Mm-mm.
Week, and we also have Lesbian Visibility Week. Uh,
Yes.
so yeah, I mean,
Yeah, we
it's
should.
amazing. I mean, before, when I came out with Women Loving, it was like I felt so alone because that's why I wrote the stories, because I felt like I wanted to read stories. The stories I wanted to read, I wrote them myself, no, because
Mhm.
I didn't find them in Philippine literature.
Yeah.
So yeah, so now it's there. It's an artifact. There are copies, and
Artifact.
to be honest, it's a lesbian artifact, and it,
Yeah.
it helps create the lesbian culture,
Mm.
in the Philippines. And I'm really very happy to hear younger lesbian writers or artists who come to tell me that having read this book, changed their lives because they saw
Yes.
that it could be done,
Hmm.
and that we should be writing our stories.
Yeah.
So we have,
And
yeah, like Early Solgadong, no, from Iloilo. who I met
Sorry.
at the writers
Okay.
workshop. Yeah,
Yeah.
and she did say, that I was so glad, to hear when I met her that reading my book was a turning point for her as a writer. So
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not only so a lot
Mhm.
more of women lesbian was inspired to
I
about your
hope
book,
so.
and
I hope
yeah,
so.
that and thought there's also an opportunity for them in the writing field, that they can also be writers and not just identified as a lesbian and prejudiced and you know discriminated for being a lesbian, and there's an opportunity for them, and Joanna gave them the bridge. Yeah, the opportunity, yes. So now we will ask questions sent to us by our viewers. Are you
Oh,
ready?
okay.
Okay. So they may also send us through our inbox. So we're gonna check it. Okay. So now, first question, Mike.
How was this book received by readers?
Oh, okay.
I think we answered that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think.
it wasn't received as hotly as it should have.
Mhm.
So it took like 5 years before the the first print run sold out. And in the Philippines, the print run is so small, so it's like 1,000 copies, and it
Okay.
took 5 years to sell it.
Ooh,
You know, so
Wow.
that's long.
that's really sad. That's
But
sad.
at least it sold.
But
But I'm
still.
glad that there's an ebook version. So it's alive through the ebook version.
Okay.
Okay. Male writers tend to get asked what they think and women what they feel. How has this been your experience as a writer?
That yeah, I mean that really is one of the stereotypes, that. But I think for me, I don't see it as a binary, as a strict binary for myself,
Mm,
that I'm just supposed to write about how I feel.
mm,
I think, and this is quite. I think it's clearer in my new book, Abinako, or so I thought.
mm,
How I've been able to resolve that kind of binary between women writers write about how they feel, not about what they think, or that readers don't, are not interested in what women think. I think we're at a time when we can challenge that
Mhm.
notion. And in my book, I do that kind of thinking through the ways that I worked with form, not just what I said, but how I wrote my memoir,
mm.
because I wrote it within my PhD. So it's part of my creative practice dissertation.
Okay.
So it's definitely like half of it was feeling and imaginative. The other half was
Mhm.
really scholarly.
So, do you think it's a female writer's duty to call out sexism when she sees it?
Yes, of course. Of course.
I think it's also a male writer's duty
That's
to
true.
call
That's true.
the other male writers sexism remarks or whatever.
But there are
Yeah.
also women who
True.
are sexist. Actually,
Yeah, yeah,
women
exactly.
can be.
They're a different kind of humans, so
Yeah.
they should be
But
called out
also,
by everyone.
that's true, and it's not just sexism, but discrimination against the queer community, for instance.
Yes,
Straight women
yes.
are very dangerous foes, actually, when you think
Mm.
about it. Now, so not
Mm,
all women are sisters.
that's true. I have met a lot of women who are not sisters
It's
who
sad.
says really awful things about not only other women but also for the other gender. They for the community. So yes, I agree.
Yeah. And
So
and
here,
we were talking about the feminist anthologies in the
Mhm.
Philippines earlier in the
mm,
90s. The lesbian writers were not represented.
oh,
It
Mhm.
seemed as if we didn't exist. But we
oh,
did exist, but we were not being
yes,
published. We were not being published. We were not, if we were published, our lesbian identity was erased. So it seemed as if the lesbian writers who were in the anthology were heterosexual. So it was really a heteronormative practice of anthologizing in
See,
the
there
90s.
is prejudice.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Within the feminist community, they're gonna kill me, but yes. So within the
But
feminist
yeah, but
movement,
we asked earlier in the Philippines. So within the, within your the Philippine, we asked earlier within the industry
Mm.
in general. Now it's more specific. It's within the Women Writers
yeah.
Society. So there is prejudice in
Sad.
the
Mm-hmm.
country. So
Do
there.
you think, or no, is there a need of change in the writing industry? If yes, what would you like to see, or what change do you want to see in the industry?
Um, well, since recently we came out with the lesbian anthology, I think the next step will be a more diverse anthology with
Mm.
queer women, different forms of queerness
Mhm.
among women. So that's something that we can explore. Aside from the more diverse representation within the queer community, I'm really wanting to see more regional. Read the Philippine regions. So
Mhm.
because the mainstream publishing industry is mainly in Manila, so the opportunities are traditionally offered only to writers from Manila and those who are writing in the major languages like Filipino or English. But because I moved to Mindanao, I saw how important it is, no, for the Mindanao writers, for instance, specifically to be represented and published. No? So what we have seen now is that we in the Davao Writers Guild, we have a literary organization here, a very small one with no funding or little funding. We publish anthologies of young Mindanaoan writers and the Davao writers. But it seems to me that there's little interest in these anthologies
Mm.
in the capital.
Oh,
So,
so
so that's what
isn't
I want to see
isn't the
change.
National Book Development Board very supportive of
Yeah,
your
I think
organization?
they have. The thing with the NBDB is lately I'm seeing that they have more interest in writing for children. So
Yes.
they're helping publish children's books and young adult literature
Mhm.
from the
Mhm.
regions. So that's what I'm seeing. What NBDB is interested in, has been interested in for some time.
Yeah,
So
but they brought also interesting, very, how do you call this? Interesting books during the book fair, not only children's
yeah.
books.
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
So yeah, they brought a variety of books actually. So other even political books.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The During the martial law era books, they also brought it there.
Yeah,
Which
because
yeah,
the book fair, the Frankfurt Book Fair is a buyer's market, right?
but
Like
it was a
it's a
book fair for
different kind.
children. It was
So okay, so the
specifically
focus,
for children's books,
there you
actually,
go.
but
Yeah.
they brought it anyway.
Mm.
So yeah, that's
So I'm
why
glad
there's
to
so many
hear that.
people coming into the to the booth because the Germans are also aware of these political books and they were
Yeah.
very much interested. And they also brought books. I've seen a few about the indigenous community as well.
Ah,
Mm.
Yeah,
that's good.
but
That's
not
good.
so much. They were just like for tourism, and they were featuring a lot of
Mm.
materials coming from different communities. So I saw a few of that, and that's basically it. It was a book fair for children's
Ah,
books
so yeah,
specifically. Yeah, but I'm glad that, well, it's one way of support on the side of the National Book. What do you call it?
yeah.
Yeah, right. It's also one way of support. Do you think from the National Book Development Board, bringing the other books that
Yeah.
represent your your community or the
I think when
indigenous
they
people?
selected the works, it was geared more towards what the market, the European market, would be
Yeah.
interested in procuring.
Yeah, we would be
So because
definitely
it's not
interested
really
in
in terms
procuring
of
those books.
selling, like sales, right? It's
Mm.
reprinting rights.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's a
So
different
that is the
market.
purpose of the National Book Development Board. Are they who should be responsible for supporting like the Davao Writers Guild?
Uh, well, maybe the NBDB, yes.
It
Shout
was so
out.
hard for me to ask a question and not directly hit John.
Shout out to the
John, if
National
you're
Book Development
watching,
Board. Yes.
I'm just calling out John. So, if you will be watching one of the episodes one of these days, please
Well,
do
yeah, no, I think
support
they
the
are.
various
They are in
organizations of
Mindanao.
writers. Yeah.
They are in
Yeah.
Mindanao. I mean, they have projects in Mindanao. I just feel like, the bias is towards the children's market.
Exactly. Yeah. And
So,
it
I mean,
shouldn't be. Yeah.
what about us, the ones who are writing
You should
for
not
adults?
discriminate. I cannot find the right words to tell him. Like, you should be equal to all writers. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Right. So now, what is it? Next question. What book inspired you the most?
Oh, these are really the hard questions, no? Because I'm a literature major. So there's just so many, so many books. I mean, every book can inspire you. And then, of course, because I'm a writer myself, if I name a Philippine writer, everybody's gonna say, "Oh, I biased for favorite mo siya," or whatever. So
Actually,
it's
that's
hard
the
to.
next question.
So hard to say. But one of the books that really changed my life. So just to answer the
Mm.
question, just quickly without thinking, is Sula by Toni Morrison.
Oh,
This is
okay.
the novel that I read that made me want to become a literature major. So it was a novel, but that was written in a lyrical manner, and also the characters. So Toni Morrison isn't a lesbian, so the two women characters love each other with a love deeper than any love they felt for the male lovers.
Mm.
So to me, when I was 18 and I was reading that, it felt I felt seen, and because I at that time I didn't know yet that I was a lesbian, and I was also discovering my sexuality. I was having my first lesbian relationship, and reading Sula by Toni Morrison made me feel seen, and
Mm.
I think that that feeling carried over to my own writing when I began to write. That I felt like while I wanted to give voice to my lesbian experience and my own understanding of my lesbian experience, I also wanted to be seen,
Mm.
which is why I write about these experiences. And yet, I also know that um, writing about this and publishing it will find a reader who will feel seen by my writing.
Mm.
And
There's a
I think that's
difference. Like,
important.
yeah, there's a difference. Like, you are just being tolerated than being accepted. Yeah,
Mhm.
it should be accepted because they understand that it's normal. This is natural. This
Yeah.
is who they are, and they should be accepted. There's a big difference. So, next
Yeah.
question, Mike.
Um, what are the three books that you would recommend?
All of
Philip,
her
is that,
books.
and well, of course, I will recommend my own book.
Yes, of
I will,
course.
I will recommend my
Yeah.
own book, Abinako, or so I thought. So it
So
was
it.
published by the UP Press
Mhm.
last year. So for the Philippine market, you can get it on or from the University of the Philippines press shops on Shopee and Lazada, or from the website of the UP Press.
Mhm.
Yeah. So,
Abi na ako. Or
or
so
so
I
I
thought. Yeah, cool. Yes, Abi na
And I
ako.
would
You know, in
also,
Ilonggo, it's also like similar.
I really,
Abiko.
what was it?
In
Abico.
Ilonggo.
Okay.
Abiko.
Mhm.
Abiko. Or so I thought. Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
same.
In
Yeah.
Tagalog, akala ko.
Akala ko.
Akala ko.
Yeah. I
There
have a
must be a
German.
German
Or so I
equivalent.
thought.
Give me the German
So dachte
equivalent.
ich. The German equivalent is so dachte ich.
Oh, okay. Which
Ooh.
how do you parse it? The parts of the word.
So
Meaning,
dachte ich.
And so I thought.
So I thought.
Yeah.
so I thought.
Yeah.
We should have a German we should have that translated in German.
Oh wow, yeah.
It's yeah,
If
a
not the
lot
whole
of
book, one of the chapters.
yes. That's a goal. Suppose yeah, it should be translated in different languages. You should
Yeah.
consider that as well.
Yes.
Manifesting. Manifesting.
Yes.
Or turning into a
And
movie. Yay!
yes, also, oh my God. How here we go.
Can you imagine? Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah,
Manifest.
have our book reserved and signed before you go to Hollywood.
It's
So,
free to dream, free to
yes,
dream.
of course. And other books that you would recommend?
I would recommend Tingle.
Yes.
Tingle, the Pinay Anthology of Lesbian Writing, which is in my room. I was
Don't worry,
writing.
we have it here.
There you go.
There you go.
So I'm kind of
It's a beautiful cover.
Yes.
Yes, by a queer artist, Katrina
Artist.
Palion. Yeah,
Beautiful.
It's really beautiful. Yeah.
I love it. So it's detailed. So it's a larger painting called Aquamarine.
Wow.
Yeah, I love it, and actually, it also resonates with many of the pieces inside the book, which use the ocean as a metaphor for, um, their womanly consciousness,
Oh yeah.
like like what Carl Jung said, the womb as an archetype for
It's really
the
beautiful.
subconscious.
Where is the painting
Yeah.
displayed?
Actually, I think it was commissioned by a
Ah.
collector, so it's
Oh.
yeah, it's not.
You're so lucky they allowed you to use it as a book cover.
I know, I know.
Yeah. It's really beautiful.
Hmm.
And tingle means
Okay, in English, of course, tingle is the the feeling of
a feeling. Yeah.
what do tingle, or in
Yes.
Tagalog, kilig. The
Kilig,
kilig.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
in Tagalog,
In-
tingle is a homonym for tinggil, which
Tinggil?
means it means clitoris.
So cool.
So if you know Tagalog, I think it's the same in Binisaya and in Hiligaynon.
Hiligaynon.
Is it the same? I think it's the same. What did
yeah,
Iris
yeah, I
say?
think so. Yeah. Yeah, it is.
So it's it's like a secret that you're looking for in the book.
It's actually a word that generally in the Philippines we don't actually often say those words. Your mother would immediately
Yeah.
tell you, "Don't say that," or "Don't say that in public." It's like it's not normal to say the human anatomy in front of your
Sexual
parents.
part. Yeah.
Yes. It's a cultural, very cultural that they don't
Mhm.
want you to say those things, or your anatomy cannot be said in public as well. But now she wrote a book about it, and everyone will say it. We are showing it to the
Yeah.
world. Yeah.
Yeah, well, when I ask the writers, so these are the lesbian writers in the Philippines. So it's not just my work. So it's lesbian writers from the whole of the Philippines. So because, like I said, I'm very interested in regional representation. So not just writers from Manila, but writers from Visayas and Mindanao. So what I asked them was, for the writing prompt is just what makes you tingle as a lesbian.
Mm-hmm.
So not all the stories and poems and essays are about sex,
Mm-hmm.
because some
Yes,
of the writers don't, felt tingled by other things like
of
food, for
course.
instance,
Mhm.
or family dynamics. The love of family makes
Mm-hmm.
them tingle. The acceptance of family, okay, after having struggled with it, for instance, or the remembrance of your first crush, which wasn't literally sexual. It's just a crush when you
Or
were,
food.
4 years old. Yes, food, definitely food. Yeah. So there's a food essay, and there's a political advocacy.
Of course.
It awakens your desire,
Yeah.
to
Um, you
to
know,
fight. So
it
it's
would
it's not just,
definitely make me tingle if a dictator will be jailed.
yes, yes, yes. Every Wednesday I get tingled. Because
Me
it's like
too.
my
Tingle pink.
my my news feeds, they turn pink. I mean, most,
Yes.
so of course not all, but yeah. So it makes me tingle every
Yeah, has
Wednesday.
to.
So
I think the entire country is tingled red. Oh, and it's also in pink. How
and yes,
timely,
Yes.
it just so
right?
happens. It just so
Perfect. You
happens.
have already, you have foreseen the future, and the future is pink.
The future is pink. Yes.
Yay! So next question, Mike.
Yes. If you were given the opportunity, what's your advice to straight writers on writing believable LGBT stories?
I would say don't.
Okay.
Sorry, not
Don't
sorry.
write.
Hashtag
Okay.
sorry, not sorry. Okay, so actually, one of the strangest things when
Stranger Things.
I put out the call for Tingle in
Mhm.
2016, actually 2016, and for this anthology of lesbian writing, and one straight male, so cisgendered male writer wrote me
Mhm.
to ask if I would accept his story about lesbians. And so
Mhm.
of course, I had to decline. And then another cisgendered male but gay writer also asked if they could submit their, his lesbian story. And I thought, hardline. I'm really hardlining on this one. I think that if you're straight, you really have no business writing about queer experiences,
Mhm.
because the queer creators can speak and write their own. We can
Mhm.
create our own narratives. So you have to, you know, uh, settle for what you have.
Yeah.
But that's just me. Okay, so that's me. That's me as an editor, and that's me as a writer. So
Yeah, I think there's so
and the same with
many. Yeah.
other marginalized groups. I think we shouldn't be writing the stories of trans women or trans men because they can do it themselves. We should be
That's
empowering them to do it
that's right.
themselves.
Yeah. And of course, your advice to all who wants to pursue a writing career.
Yes, I would say just do it. This is the difference between writing today, for instance, in the Philippines, because of course I don't know how it is outside, like in Germany, but here in the Philippines today, the young writers don't need to pass through the same route that like writers from my generation had to pass through, which had to do with, going through for instance, the national writers workshops,
Mhm.
and being winning the Palanca Literary Award, which is what I did. To in order to be seen as a writer, we had to kind of get the imprimatur of the senior writers in the literary world. by making it to the national writers workshops and being published in the national anthologies, or winning the award, no, the Palanca Literary Award, which seemed to us at the time to be like a rite of passage for everybody. If you were writing in English, I'm sure they had a different contest, literary contest, that was considered a rite of passage for the writers in Filipino. But today, the young writers, don't need to go through all that, because there's so many other venues for publishing your work. You can publish your own work through
Yes.
zines, or just there's no. I think there's
Amazon is also publishing,
yeah,
yeah, doing that.
yeah, the for the print on demand system.
Mhm.
So I think there's no more shame. It used to be shameful during my time, to publish your own work. But now I think no
Why? Why
more.
is it
Yeah,
shameful? You can afford it.
it's like it's like it was called the vanity press.
Ah, so
So
okay.
it's like, if you publish your own work, then it's just for vanity. So
Yeah.
it seemed that, like, there was nobody curating the work if you're
Yeah.
publishing your own work, which is also true. I mean, I'm not saying all independently published, or self-published works are excellent. I mean, you
Mhm.
also, the reader has to maybe make their own selections. But
Yeah.
I think today it's quite more of a very empowering environment. No, so there's
Yeah.
less gatekeeping.
Others, maybe they don't want now the hassle of, contracts and other things dealing with publishers. So they just want to publish their own book, right? That's also
Yeah,
possible
yeah,
for other writers.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
And
it's just that, like, for me in the academe, because I'm an academic, of course I
yeah.
can't do that.
Mhm.
Because if I publish my own work, they won't give me points for promotion. So it's a it's an economy. So
Yeah.
if I want to get promoted, then I should publish with a, let's say, a university press. So my
Yeah.
book is published by the UP Press, so, or
UP
published by
Press.
Anvil. Then I will get promotion points. But I know some academics who will publish their own work and not care about
Yes.
whether they get promoted for it. I do have some of
Mhm.
that. I
Yeah.
I not all my work
They,
will get any points. Because I we don't want to be just cogs in the machine. Of academe. So some of the work that we do really should be because it's significant work. It's helping the community, not just for the sake of promotion points.
oh, yeah, that's true. And also, maybe some of the writers really believe that their work can contribute to the society. So that's why
Yeah.
they publish it by themselves. So our last question, and we will end this interview with your favorite quote from your books.
Wow!
Thank you,
Oh my
Maria
gosh!
Francesca.
Oh, Maria, Maria Francesca. These are such surprising questions, like super live. This is super live. So, oh my god. Oh gosh, how would you? Oh, so
And we posted it also, so everyone sees it.
uh, it's so hard. Can I just read a
Yes,
portion of
please.
from my book, na Abinako?
Yes.
I can't say that it's my favorite quote, but let me read the paragraph. It's short, 30 seconds.
No, no problem. Okay.
Take my heart. I guarantee it is usable despite all the battering. No, because of all the activity. We are taught in weight training that we must train a muscle to the extent of muscle failure. So the fibers break and then get stronger when they repair. All it takes is one rest day. I promise you, my heart has grown stronger over the years of its use. Trained to failure, broken and repaired, and broken and repaired, still going.
Nice.
She
Very nice.
described my heart.
Oh, really? Well, I'm glad to hear I'm not the only one with a
No,
bad
but he
break arm.
repaired it. So thank you, babe. It has been broken. The muscle was so tired. But then a few exercises.
Rest day. Yeah, just
Yes,
take a rest day or two, and you're ready to go again.
very beautiful
Yes.
line. Definitely. Is this available on Amazon already?
Yeah, that's the thing about the UP Press. I think you need to go to the website, press.edu, sorry, press.up.edu.ph,
That's
and
always.
inquire about overseas shipping because it's not yet available on Amazon.
Yeah,
But
that's always
Kindle,
our problem in availing the books. That's
yeah,
why John was trying to figure that out as well because you have to ship it here and it will cost the buyer more, and it would
yeah,
be good if there's a publisher coming from Germany who just publish all the books.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's the best thing about Frankfurt Book Fair, I think. That we
Yeah.
have to make the books, the Philippine books, really available to the European market for cheaper
Yes.
because the
Mhm.
shipping is really exorbitant. Uh,
Exactly.
but Tingo, on the other hand, is available as an ebook.
Mm.
So that
Okay.
one
But I'm the
can
type
be,
who really wants the book.
yeah,
I really
yeah, I
want it
think
in
more,
my hand. Need it,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think
I
more people.
actually created a book club here in my community.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
So our just recently for the pandemic, we do
Mhm.
it. We were supposed to do it face to face, but now I'm trying to do it online. And the
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
first book, of course, I'm a bit biased, was from a Filipino writer who is based here in Frankfurt.
Ah,
So
okay.
all the German members will read it.
Ah, okay. And you talked about it in your episode the previous, or
Yeah.
no, the Frankfurt Book Fair
Yeah.
episode.
Yes, I did, and yeah, for our next meeting, we'll be reading the Book of Bless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, bless.
So yeah,
Mhm.
looking forward to that. I want to
Is it
hear the.
about
I'm
migrant
sorry.
experience? Is it about the migrant experience?
Yes,
Mm.
it's her life back home, and when she moved to the U.S. Yes, exactly,
Ah, okay.
migrant experience. So
It
it's
should
gonna
be
be
quite
interesting.
interesting. Yeah, it should be quite
Yeah.
interesting for your book club.
Yes,
Mm.
definitely. And of course, that's why I'm so frustrated that there's so many books back home that we cannot have access to here. I would
Mhm.
recommend like all of your books in my book club, definitely. But we won't be able to get it. And we only
Yeah,
have like a short span, like 3 weeks only to read it. So
yeah.
we need to have the
I think
books
it's a
ready.
kind of work. The books are hostaged here.
I
In a
know.
way, it's a kind of, you're hostage in the
Yes.
country because it's so prohibitive to ship abroad. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the
But I
ebooks,
will find
sometimes
a
the
way.
ebooks are not selling as well.
Hmm.
Like you said, I think there are more people like you who prefer to hold the book than to,
Yes.
to swipe.
I
So,
always find a way to get them anyway. So definitely it will come to Germany. So thank you very much, Joanna. This was really
hey,
Yes,
a
it was a big
lovely,
pleasure
yeah,
having you here on our show.
a very
it's my
interesting
pleasure.
conversation.
It's my pleasure. Thank you
Thank
for having
you.
me.
Thank
And
you.
more power to Talk Alley.
Okay,
Thank
thank you very
you.
much.
Cheers.
Bye. See you.
Bye.
Bye. So, yes.
Yeah, I agree with everything. Storytelling is the essence of who we are,
Mhm.
Mike. And so stories themselves are capsules of who we are. They represent our hopes, our dreams, our fears, our goals. So for me, I want to read stories that represent me also. And stories that I can relate as well. Just like what Joanna is saying. Like if you're a lesbian, you also want to read materials coming from a lesbian writer.
Mhm.
If
Yes.
you're gay, you want to read something also because they can relate to what you are
Yes.
feeling, what you're
Yes.
experiencing, right? You wouldn't want to read an IT book coming from a what? A doctor.
Maybe,
Maybe
or from a lawyer.
Shut up. I do computer science. You shucks. You shucks.
Yes, of course. I read. Yes, I do. Usually, work my technical notes. I have to go through tutorials. I have to go, but yeah, I do that.
You read.
Yes, and we
Right.
encourage also our viewers and listeners to also read. It widens the imagination, and
course.
yeah,
Especially now. Yeah, we're
locked up again soon.
locked up again. We're gonna be locked up again soon.
Yes,
Austria is already locked up.
Most
so
likely, yes.
this is the best opportunity to catch up on your reading.
Yes.
And there's so many books, literary books, especially back home in the Philippines. We have so many writers. Please, we're promoting buy local from local authors, writers, publishers as well. Support them. The market is so wide. You have so many choices. And if you can get a hold of these books, please do. And of course, the books of Joanna are there. They're available. Please try and read them.
Yes.
And they're also available as an ebook, as she mentioned.
Yes, on Amazon, for
Yeah.
example.
We're in Amazon.
Yes, I saw a few books like Women on Fire. I saw that on Amazon that you can buy that.
The book
I
or
think
ebook.
ebook.
Oh.
Yeah. So you are the ones who like to hold the
Yeah.
book. I'm a swiper.
Okay, so thanks. Oh, someone is thanking Joanna. Oh, Joanna said her partner is a lawyer. Okay, B. Bilia said, thanks for paving the way and encouraging other queer women writers to tell our stories. Joanna Cruz. So, B. Villa, hello, thank you for watching. And she's thanking Joanna for paving the way, encouraging other queer women writers to tell our stories. Yay. So, thank you so much.
Thank you, listeners and viewers. This wraps up our episode. Happy Sunday and a good start in the next week.
Yes.
Yes.
That's Mike.
I'm Mike,
and
this is Maria.
and I'm Maria.
Yes. This wraps it up.
And wraps it up.
Stay healthy.
Yeah. See you again next Sunday.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.